The book I want to present you today is a classic. What does it mean for a classic? Is a book that was written in the 1960s and Dover published it in 1994. They republished it, okay? They didn't actually redo the work. Why? Because inside we can see that there is the ancient descriptive notation which we can find in book of the 1960s. Okay? The positive thing of this work is that in the beginning there is a kind of explanation of the rules of the game, and he also gives a description of the differences between master and amateur. But as you can see, the good thing is that it gives a description on how to read the descriptive notation, right? But I'm sorry, I do have problems because I learned chess in the algebraic. I didn't learn chess in the descriptive, okay? Then there is another flaw in this book, and I must be honest, guys, because if I am not honest, then you will not watch my videos, right? So honesty is the most important thing. For me, some of these diagrams, I really cannot understand the pieces. Maybe because my eyes are bad, I don't know. The black pieces, to me, they are all ugly and I cannot really see them well. Like, can you really see if this is a queen? I don't know. So some of these diagrams are very, very bad. You cannot see anything in them. Why do I tell you that? Because Dover has very beautiful diagrams. Here another beautiful book published by Dover. This is also a very ancient book because it's a tarta cover, so maybe it was published in 1910. I don't remember honestly the year, but look how beautiful is this diagram. Also, this has the descriptive notation, but the beauty are the diagram and the pieces. Look how beautiful are the rooks or the kings. It's a really nice job here. This is always made by Dover. Also check the bishop, how beautiful it is. So these little things for me are important, okay? So why do we read a book like this one? Because it was written by Max Ove, that was a world champion. He won the world championship against Alekin. And he has this idea. It tells you that if you see a game of a master played against an amateur and inside he describes the different kind of amateurs, then you will learn a lot about the typical mistakes that are made. So this is a must read. Notice that the diagram in the cover is a typical Dover diagram, so it's a beautiful one compared to some of these diagrams that are really kind of difficult. Watch this. The dark squares are too dark for these pieces, so it's a little difficult to see. I think, honestly, guys, this is a classic book. It should just be remade in algebraic because it's a sure sale. It's something every beginner should read. Okay, you need to read it, you need to understand it. It's really great. So sorry for being so long in the introduction. Now let me show you a game. Okay, so this is game number one. The beginner is white and the master is black. What does the beginner play? He plays pawn, king, bishop, 4. Here it says the beginner probably plays this move without any idea of its real strategic significance. But let us consider what the move means to the master. To the master, the opening phase of the game is the struggle for the control of the center, that is, for control of the square king 4, queen 4, king 5, and queen 5. By playing pawn king bishop 4, white exerts pressure on his king 5 square, for black cannot now put a pawn or a piece on there without it being taken, right? Pawn king bishop 4 also opens the king 1 rook 4 diagonal for white, but this open line does not aid white to develop any of his pieces, and under certain circumstances black could use the diagonal for attack, as he will later in this game. The move pawn king bishop 4 is perhaps not the strongest opening move, but it is an acceptable one. So it's really nice that Ov made this kind of comment, because in reality this is the Dutch with white. So what does the master play? He plays pawn queen 4. Black in turn works toward the center control in two ways. He takes possession of his center square, queen 4, by occupying it, and his queen pawn now exerts pressure on white's king 4 square, so that white cannot put pieces on this square without their being taken. The move also opens a diagonal for the development of the black queen bishop. Okay, so this move opens this diagonal. The move 1 pawn queen 4 has one disadvantage, as many good moves do. Black no longer has the possibility of playing pawn queen 3. Of course, once you play here, you cannot go back. And thus he has relinquished the possibility of controlling his king 4 square with his queen pawn. Okay? This square therefore becomes more important to white. Okay, so guys, from already this simple comment, we understand how much is important for a master level player to control some squares, because practically there is one page of comments by Ov just explaining the squares, just the squares, and so we must pay attention, right? So what does white play? He plays pawn, queen, rook 4. A typical beginner's move, made without any valid purpose. It does nothing to occupy or to control the center, and little to help the development of white's pieces. For the moment, it does offer white the possibility of developing his queen rook via rook 3. But even if white should succeed in playing rook 3, it would not have much effect. A rook on the fourth rank in the early part of a game ends in its own pawns. Okay, if I may, guys, here Ov doesn't explain you what you should do, right? So the move to play is this. Why? Because you help this pawn to take control of this and start to control of this. Or generally another move that is played is this, with the idea of playing this. So these are generally the two moves that you would play. This, honestly, it's very, very important because when you played f4, you really created a weakness here. And so you want also to avoid this problem of the enemy queen entering there. So this is the move you should play with white or as white if you play the bird opening, because this is called the bird opening. Okay, so after e4, that is called pawn queen rook 4, there is pawn king 3. And here it says the best move in this position because it contributes most to the fundamental idea of the position, namely the struggle for the possession of a black king 4 square. Okay. It is not clear yet whether black king knight will be more useful in the center struggle on its king bishop 3 or king 2. Therefore, it is better to defer the development of the knight, but pawn king 3 open the possibility of playing bishop queen 3, where the bishop can play its part in vying for control of black's king 4 square. Incidentally, in playing pawn king 3, black opens two diagonals and closes one. So what are the two diagonals? 1 and 2. That's why, guys, I told you need to play knight f3 immediately because you really don't like when this happens. Honestly, I won a game because the guy played this and I played this. And this was a tournament game, and everybody asked me, oh, how is possible you finish in 5 minutes? And that was the reason. Honestly, I tried to explain to an arbiter that to me doesn't make much sense in the open section to have this kind of big gap of rating. In this case, I had more than 400 points with my opponent, obviously. Maybe it was even 1000, I don't know. And the arbiter couldn't understand it, but I said, I'm sorry, this guy didn't learn anything. I just destroyed it in 3 moves. He clearly wasn't prepared for a tournament, and he should have not played in an open section, but in a low-rated section, so he could have learned something, right? But to lose in 3-4 moves is for sure disheartening for him, right? So it's not a good idea. Okay. As you can see, guys, I'm, however, telling you a lot of stuff from the book. So that's why the book is very, very important if you are a beginner to read it, okay? Because all these comments that Ove makes are very, very important. Now I will go a little faster and see the game because, oh my god, there is like, what, 5 pages for a game that lasts maybe 8 moves. And this is why you need to buy a book like this if you are a beginner, because it will teach you a lot. It will teach you to think, right? So after pawn king 3, our friends played pawn queen knight 3. Oops. Okay, this is not great, but if his idea was this, maybe. But I don't think his idea was this, honestly. And once you open this, terrible, terrible. No, I don't think this is a good move. He says, very likely the beginner made this move because he was fascinated by the pawn configuration. Yeah, rather than because he understood its basic significance in relation to the requirements of a position. Actually, the move is good, in that it allows white to play bishop knight 2, from which square the bishop will play its part in the struggle for the control of the black king 4 square, by exerting pressure on that square. Honestly, it's terrible, it's not really good. What did black play? Oh wow, he plays a nice move, which is pawn, queen, bishop 4. As you can see, guys, now black is starting to get control of the enemy territory. And here there is a big explanation why it's a good move, okay? So next move is pawn, knight 3. Here it doesn't say that it's pawn, king, knight 3, because obviously he moved that. Now, this move would have been good if white wants to play a kind of Leningrad Dutch with reverse colors. But why in general is not good? Because, and here it says it, it's in the beginning you need to bring out your pieces, right? So here it says another pawn move. The beginner probably likes the look of the two chains of pawns, and he possibly has no deeper motive for this move. The real importance of pawn knight 3 is that it allows the development of a king bishop to knight 2. This move is, however, less effective because black's king queen pawn is solidly protected by the king pawn and blocks the white bishop movement, right, for the moment. He explains a lot more. So guys, again, I like the book because for a beginner this is a must-have book, in my opinion. Okay, so after pawn knight 3 we have bishop queen 3. Very good. And here it says, here the master see this move theoretically and strategically as an adjunct to the center struggle, inasmuch as the bishop now exerts pressure on the black king 4 square. Okay, so he's actually fighting for this square, okay? Okay, and here there is much more detail and explanation, okay? So I obviously don't want to give away everything that Ov says, because, I mean, the book has a copyright, but be aware that it's really well detailed in annotations. Bishop queen knight 2. Does white fail to see black's threats, or does he merely realize that by bishop queen knight 2 is making the counter threats of bishop for pawn and bishop for rook? With white's last move, the game takes on an entirely different aspect. The strategic importance of controlling black's king 4 square gives way to the tactical possibilities afforded by the position. It's great, honestly, guys. Ov really was a good teacher. I think he was a math professor, but as you can see, he really teaches well. I think, guys, that after reading Capablanca books, Capablanca has made a series of 3 books, one called The Fundamentals, one is My Career, and one, it was a primer. You should read this book, because this book, it's really great, honestly. The annotations are amazing, amazing. Okay, guys, can you guess what Black is playing now? Try to pause the video and try to guess. Why do I tell you that? Because also if you are an intermediate player, maybe you can miss what's gonna happen now. Okay, Black is gonna play this. Boom! Amazing move, right? Why did he play this? Because if he plays this, it's game over. Okay, checkmate. Hence my name, Mr. Checkmate. So, obviously, White doesn't do that. And this is really interesting, right? Very, very interesting. Because White plays this. And now you say, oh ho, White is gonna get the rook, right? Maybe. So try to pause the video again and try to guess what is the next move by Black. Here Ov says, Black, who has analyzed the position thoroughly, replies, boom. Great move, right? Because if he takes, checkmate. If he takes there, you can even play with the queen, just to show you, because it's really funny, right? Oops. Oops. Checkmate by the bishop. Can you imagine? This is really funny. So clearly, White shouldn't take on there. But let's see what happened. Oh, he did it, really. He did it. Okay, sorry, I never saw the game, so I didn't know that he would take. But it was logical for me, right? And here is bishop for knight pawn, pawn for bishop, and of course here there is queen for knight pawn, checkmate. But again, there are some annotations that explain also what should have been done. It's a great book, honestly, because in this book there are about 25 games analyzed with this kind of detail, and so you guys know what you're getting into. You're getting a lot of material that you can study. So it's a great book to have if you are a beginner, because it will open your eyes to what you actually have to do when you play chess and you have just learned it. I want to thank you for watching and see you next time.